We are here in Pantai Morib in the west coast of Peninsular Malaysia, and the first thing we see at the beach are these casuarina trees. And while they look like conifers, they are actually flowering plants that produce these feathery, wind-pollinated flowers and mature into these pine cone-like structures. Each capsule you see here used to contain a singular winged seed called a samara, which are then released into the wind to be carried to other places when they mature. Casuarinas are native to much of Southeast Asia and can be found on both the east and west coast of Malaysia.
In the mangrove area now, and we are starting to see these fiddler crabs. You can see that one of their pincers is much larger than the other, and it's what they use to fight other males to compete for females. So only males have that large, colourful pincer. Like, just look at the amount of soldier crabs. It's crazy. It must be millions, bro. You can see this one burrowing in right there. And yeah, what's responsible for all these like little, what do you call it, yeah, little balls of sand around it. They're very shy.
So this snail in front of me is called a Nasarius snail. It is a carnivorous scavenger, which means it feeds on carrion like dead fish and crabs. It uses its long proboscis, which is the organ that you see waving around, to smell food in the water. And they are so sensitive that they can even sense prey even before they die, due to the stress pheromones that are released into the water.
Finding a lot of these horseshoe crab molts. This is the mangrove horseshoe crab. It's one of the two species that can be found in Malaysia. The other is the coastal horseshoe crab. And it's important to know that there are only 4 species in the world of horseshoe crab, and Malaysia has 2 of them. So this here is a Spiro melongena, otherwise known as a crown conch, or its scientific name Volagalia cochlidum, and it's alive. You can see, because we can see the operculum attached. So the operculum is an external shell that helps cover the opening of the shell, called the aperture. So it covers the aperture so that it can protect itself from predators, or when during low tide they can shut their door so that they don't dry out. And because the operculum is attached to the body of the snail and not the shell, you know, when you see the operculum, you know the snail is alive.
So we are approaching the water here, and we are starting to see a lot of these crab molts. Because they have exoskeletons that cannot grow with them, they have to shed it every time they get too big. And they usually choose low tide to go through this process, because they are very vulnerable when they are changing their shell. This is because their new shell takes time to harden. And during low tide, the water is low enough that no predators can attack them from above. And so you see a lot of these shells during low tide.
So what did I tell you about crabs molting during low tide? See, this is a blue swimming crab, Porcinus pelagicus, and it's what we normally eat at the restaurant lah, called the hua xie. The Chinese people call it hua xie. And you can tell it's a mold and not a carcass because you see that the eyes are empty. If it's empty, it's a mold. If it's dark and black, you see there's something inside, then it's a carcass. So this might look like a snail, but if you lift it up, you see someone living inside. It's the orange striped hermit crab. very common on our shores, especially on the west coast. And it's very hard not to find them on every beach.
This right here is called a sand collar, and it's the egg casing belonging to the moon snail. So it's a mixture of the moon snail's mucus and its surrounding substrate that creates this like plasticky rubbery texture. And inside this mixture there are millions and millions of eggs that hatch into free swimming larvae. So while the collar is still intact, there are still baby snails inside, so you should not take them home at all.
So this is another sand collar. You can see like the opening here in the middle is larger. Like some people say like this opening is the proof of the size of the mama snail. So but I don't know how true that is lah. So if you see the mama snail will be about this big. That's an orange striped hermit crab right there. I'm not sure what's doing. Sometimes you can find them like perched on these high places, like rocks. But I really don't know what they are doing. But it's funny because it always looks like they are aura farming.